All right, we're live. Welcome everybody to Fights Unwrapped. We have a full panel today. We have Alec Carr, we have Dustin Hunt, we have Ethan Carbone here. We have everybody here to talk fights. So exciting, and we have UFC London to cover. So we have a lot to cover, especially during our headlines today. Don't miss out on that. But before we do that, we're going to talk about our sponsors real quick, okay? So RxHemp.com. Anybody who has any CBD any injuries or anything like that, you can use CBD products. And the RxHemp.com has exceptional products. If you use our promo code RxHemp-USN, you get 10% your entire order. As well, anybody who is planning on betting for this week's fight, I know Ethan is probably gonna ask us for a few betting, locks here and there. You can use mybookie.ag and use promo code USN100 for a 100% sign up bonus. Now, guys, like I said, we have a lot to cover. We have a lot of headlines to cover. So let's just start with a really sad one. But we're going to start off with Frankie Edgar's last fight. I know, guys. I can't believe this is happening. Frankie Edgar is one of the sweetest UFC fighters I've ever met. I've actually met him in real life. He is a sweetheart. He is so nice. And I can't believe he is going to be unfortunately retiring soon. His last fight he really wants is with Dominic Cruz at Madison Square Garden. That's his dream. But I'm gonna go over to Alec. Alec, what do you think of this? I know this is not good news for anybody who watches UFC as much as we do.
Yeah, it's time though. I mean, I can't help but to think that the Corey Sandhagen knee to the face has accelerated this. We all saw that happen. That was devastating. Frankie Edgar's been a longtime fan favorite. He wants to end it at Madison Square Garden. He's from New Jersey. He's from Toms River, which is kind of closer to my neck of the woods, but is also very close to New York as well. It's like bittersweet. It's time. He's a Hall of Famer. He's one of the greatest of all times. He's one of the most exciting fighters to watch. Pure heart, pure soul. Everything went into it. And yeah, I'm excited for him. I hope he goes out there. Because you guys know how I feel about fucking Dominic Cruz. I hope he goes out there and whoops his ass. Just puts him back in the fucking commentating booth where he doesn't even belong, but just whoops his ass and makes Dominic Cruz take off the gloves too. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Frankie Edgar's chin is gone. So I love the guy, but it is bittersweet because you want Frankie Edgar, guys like Frankie Edgar, to fight forever, but it's impossible. So I'll be very excited to watch this fight.
Okay, Dustin, what do you think about Frankie Edgar's last fight? Do you think it's his time to retire or what?
I mean, it's definitely his time to retire. I mean, let's be real. I mean, again, I've been an MMA fan for a long time. Frank Edgar has been fighting for a long time. His prime is definitely over. I mean, he's not going for a title. He switched weights and tried. It's not working. This is a good fight for him for his last fight. Dominic Cruz isn't exactly a knockout artist, so I wouldn't say that his chin can't hold up against Dominic, because Dominic Cruz ain't knocking nobody out. I'm be real. I ain't seen it in a while. And I don't think Frankie Edgar is going to be the first one in a while. So I think it's going to be a good fight. I think Dominic Cruz takes it just because I know how Dominic Cruz fights. He's a smart guy. He's a point fighter. He's going to stay on the outside. He's going to pick him apart a little bit, and he's not going to really engage. So I'm going to be real. Dominic Cruz is probably going to take this fight, but I'm really glad to see Frankie Edgar for the last time. You know, it's a really good thing when you see that last fight from a legendary fighter like Frankie Edgar.
That's for sure. Let's go. Ethan, I know you're quite the newbie when it comes to UFC, but do you have any thoughts? Did you maybe do a little bit of research on Frankie Edgar, anything like that? I know I mentioned to you he is a beloved bantamweight fighter as well. So do you have any thoughts on this?
Obviously, being newer, I was not really able to see a lot of him. I was able to go back and watch one match. I forget who it was with, but it was very bloody from what I remember. So it was very entertaining.
That happens.
Yeah.
That's good.
I'm excited to be able to see him fight live for the first time ever. Just sad that it'll be his last.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's gonna be his last fight, right? So it's kind of bittersweet for you as someone who is new to MMA and UFC in general. But at least we'll get to see him fight one more time. Hopefully he wins and hopefully he comes out on top. But we're gonna move on because, like I said, we have a lot of headlines to cover. So we're gonna move on to something so exciting. We have freaking Charles do Bronx Oliveira versus Islam, and I can't pronounce his last name for the life of me, so I'm not gonna say it. But everybody knows who Islam is. He is an amazing grappler. He is just, he is under the wing of the great Khabib. Everybody knows who he is. I'm going to go over to Dustin, actually, first. Dustin, what do you think of this matchup? Do you think Islam should have faced Dariush first, or do you like this matchup? Do you even call it,
I'm glad he took it. I'm so glad he took this fight. And I'm screaming Charles Oliveira from the top of the stadium. I hope to God MMA Twitter makes Khabib squeal. I hope to God. Honestly, I've never wanted to fight so bad in my life. It's nothing against Islam. I think he's a great fighter. But one thing I highly doubt is he's going to sit there and dominate Charles Oliveira on the mat. When the jiu-jitsu game comes in and all that shit, I don't think it's going to happen. He's a long dude. He can strike with Islam. I think this is going to be interesting. And I think Islam has a real shot. I'm not saying he doesn't. I really, really hope Oliveira wins this fight. And the biggest reason I think he does is because I don't think Islam's strength is going to overweigh Oliveira too bad, in my opinion. I think Oliveira is going to be able to stay on his feet. I think he'll be able to fight with Islam on both ends of the fight. So we'll see. But again, I'm screaming Oliveira from the top of the stadium. I hope he beats him so bad.
Yeah, speaking of people that are screaming Oliveira, I know, Alec Carr, you are one of do Bronx's most beloved fans in the entire world. What do you think about this fight? Are you scared for this fight? What do you have to say about Oliveira versus Islam? Oh, this is not good. You're sighing heavy. Is this a rant? Are we gonna?
No, that's for later.
Okay.
That's for later. I do have one this week. It's too early for Islam. He's coming off a victory against Bobby Green. Dan Hooker win that Dan Hooker took on short notice. Thiago Moises, who is just not living up to his own hype, and Drew Dauber. I know he beat Arman Sarkian, which is a good win, but it's just too early. I don't like it. I feel like he shouldn't leapfrog a lot of the other people. I feel like he definitely should have fight Beneil Dariush. The fight was offered to him multiple times. It's just annoying. It's just annoying. Yeah, he's the fourth ranked. What?
It's Khabib's fault. This is his fault.
And for it to not be in Brazil is just an absolute joke. It's in Abu Dhabi. It should be in Brazil. It should be in his home country. He is the champ. And the fact that he is the underdog in this fight, what does do Bronx have to do? What does he have to do? Does he have to drag Khabib into the octagon and choke him out in order to get people's respect? This is fucking ridiculous. The guy has beaten everybody Khabib has beaten except for Conor McGregor. Literally, run down the list. It's the same. He beat Gaethje. He beat Poirier. He beat Chandler. He beat Tony Ferguson. Kevin Lee. He beat Jared Gordon, Nick Lentz, David Tamier, Jim Miller, Chris Giagos, and Clay Guida. What else does this guy have to do?
Alec, don't be mad. Don't be mad. Don't be mad. This is great. This is great. This is prime fucking time. This is awesome. When I heard the news this fight was happening, I smiled from ear to ear. From ear to ear.
It's just frustrating because he's probably pound for pound. In my opinion, he's pound for pound the best fighter in the world right now. The guy has beaten the best of the best. He's beaten other fighters that are in the pound for pound rankings. He's beaten them. and the very little other fighters have. The guy's he's absolutely incredible. He keeps proving people wrong, and I expect he'll prove somebody wrong here. And I think he's going to beat Islam. I think he's going to because I am convinced that Do Bronx is baiting people when he gets rocked. I don't think he's getting rocked in these fights. I think he's baiting.
I agree.
And he's figured out how to bring Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu back. Act like you get knocked down. Come into my fucking guard. I dare you. And we saw Justin Gaethje. We saw him terrified. And as soon as Do Bronx saw that, he was like, word. I got this.
I will say this. I do not want to see Islam on top of him on the ground. Because Islam, he's just like his predecessor. I mean, dude, he's very good.
His predecessor, though, Khabib, never fought somebody with this high level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Never.
I get it. But the last person I want on top of me is someone in Khabib's camp that fights somewhat just like him. I mean, that's probably the last out. I think the best thing for Oliveira is to stay on his feet. For real. I think he could beat him on his feet. So therefore, but we'll see. But I don't want to see Islam on top. I don't. When Islam gets his grips around that waist, I think it's going to be it'll be a bad situation if Oliveira lets him take advantage of the ground game. I think he can survive on the mat and get up, but I don't want to see Islam dominate him like that. I think he'll ride him a little bit if they get on the ground.
All right, we're going to move on to Ethan. I know, again, Ethan is fairly new, guys, to the whole UFC MMA scene. So we have to explain some of these situations and headlines towards him. But do you have any thoughts on this fight? Have you Googled any of these fighters before this show?
I was looking to, I'm going to butcher the name, but Oliveira.
Yep.
And I read something. He has 10 finishes that weren't by points in his last, I think it was 10 and then his last 11 or 12 fights.
Mm-hmm.
So I would probably have to go with him. Obviously, me not knowing a lot, but that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, no, I get it. And just to let you know, Islam is also a really great grappler. If you ever Google him and see some of his fights, he's amazing as well. He's dominated so many people. He hasn't dominated the top contenders yet as much as Oliveira has, but I definitely agree. I think Do Bronx has it. I think I agree with Dustin more. I think if he is staying on his feet, I think he has a better chance of winning this fight. But like I said, we have a lot of more headlines to cover, and the next one is something that surprised the shit out of me when I saw it. I can't believe Sugar Sean O'Malley is actually getting a chance with Peter Yan. Okay, I'm going to start here first because I guess this is my rant of the week. Sugar Sean O'Malley just had a no contest situation with Pedro Munoz. And now he's skyrocketed all the way up to face Peter Yan, who I told Ethan was the former bantamweight champion. So that is crazy. That is an opportunity of a lifetime. It's going to be in Abu Dhabi as well. I believe it's going to be UFC 280 as well on that card. That's going to be a crazy card, guys. Oliveira versus Islam is headlining that one. So don't miss that one as well. Basically, Sugar Sean O'Malley, I can't believe you're getting this opportunity. If you beat Peter Yan, you are definitely getting close to a title fight as possible, which is in my opinion insane because he just had a no contest with Pedro Munoz. So I'm gonna go to Alec with this one. What do you think about this fight? Yeah, I know it's a money fight. We all know it's a money fight, and Alec is just pretty much saying what everyone else is probably thinking. So Alec, I'm gonna pass it on to you. What do you think about this fight?
So Sugar Sean, you guys know I'm very big on people deserving fights. Everybody knows that watches this show. He doesn't deserve this fight. He doesn't. Petr Yan is probably the best fighter in the division. I know he's not a champ, but he's probably the best fighter in the division, just being honest. And Aljo can go fuck himself because he's not. It's crazy that this fight's happening, but it's a money fight. This is, Dana White realizing that I have these young guys that can fucking boost my promotion. Like Sugar Sean O'Malley, Paddy Pimblett being on the London card, which we'll talk about. These young guys, Muhammad Makayev is already rising above the ranks. He's on the prelims this year, and he's only 21 years old. Usually 21-year-olds in the early prelims, but Dana, it finally looks like Dana is learning that these young fighters are the next generation. And I gotta put the next generation face forward if we want to continue to grow, which they are doing. They're one of the fastest growing promotions in sports, just in the world in general. If Sugar Sean O'Malley wins, he is next in line for a title. He just is. If he figures out how to beat Petr Yan, which he has a significant height advantage, and they are both boxers and both strikers, so that is a big. The height advantage is a huge plus for Sugar Sean O'Malley in this fight. Petr Yan is good at defending the ground game, but he does not have the best ground game in the world. It's his one weakness. So they're both going to stand up and they're going to go for it. I am going to pick Yan because I think Yan is a genius of a fighter. He knows how to get on the inside. I wish this fight was 5 rounds, though. That's what pisses me off. We're gonna get Sugar versus Yan in a 3-round fight. That's annoying. That's really annoying for me. But I mean, it's a big deal. It's a win-win for Sugar Sean O'Malley, and I'm surprised Yan took the fight, other than payday, because it's a lose. It's a lose for him. If he beats Sugar, that doesn't mean he gets a title shot. But if Sugar wins, he's next in line for a title shot. And if he loses, everybody understands, oh, it was just too early. It was just too early. He shouldn't have fought Yan. Like, that just shouldn't have happened. And his reputation really doesn't get hurt at all. In fact, I think if he loses the Yan fight, guess who Sugar's fighting next? Cheeto. I think that's what happens. I think Dana White and the matchmakers are finally realizing how to get this right. Again, though, I will say to my MMA heart, my MMA soul is saying Sugar doesn't deserve this fight, but I'm excited to watch it. I would be lying if I didn't say that this fight's going to be exciting.
For sure. Okay, so Ethan just came back on. We're talking about Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Petr Yan. I did mention to you that Petr Yan used to be the bantamweight champion of the world, and now he's facing Sugar Sean O'Malley, who just had a no contest with Pedro Munoz. So, Ethan, do you have any 2 cents about this fight? Are you excited to watch it? Because I know you know Sean O'Malley is.
Yeah, Sean O'Malley is usually one of the more recognizable fighters in the world. Even I know that. As for the no contest, I think me and Alec talked about it a couple weeks ago. That seemed a lot more of just a cheap thing by Munoz, I want to say. But I think me and Alec already went into that. But I'm excited for the fight, although I think Yan is probably going to whoop him. Mm-hmm. But if Sean O'Malley can win this, then I'd say it's almost immediately deserving of the title shot.
No, for sure. Exactly. I think before we go to Dustin, I think that Petr Yan is too smart to get knocked out. I think if you watch his other fights, Ethan, he is quite the technician. He is a great boxer, and he's a slow kind of worker. So, like, the first few rounds, he might not be winning, but when it comes to the rounds 3, 4, and 5, he's going to be pretty dominant. But this is only a 3-round contest, just like Alec Carson. So it's going to be interesting to see how he works when it comes to Sugar Sean O'Malley. Dustin, going on to you when it comes to Sugar Sean versus Yan. I know you're a big Sugar Sean fan, as most of us are in this panel. So what do you think about this fight? Are you excited? Or do you think he deserves this fight? And who do you think is going to win?
Okay, so I'm going to get off being a fan of Sugar Sean O'Malley for a second. I will agree with Alec. Just getting off fandom. If I wasn't being a fan of the guy, I would say that him being catapulted this quick to Petr Yan, I don't think he should have got there as fast. But what I'm going to say something right now, Yan ain't whooping shit. Yan ain't whooping shit. I'm telling you that right now. I don't know what people see, but Sugar Sean, I'm telling you, this kid is something else, bro. He just is. And he's not like this flashy kid that ain't tough. He is. He's tough. The dude will fight you. The dude is, and he's not a bad grappler. The only reason that people say he can't grapple is because he don't grapple. Because, first of all, it's hard to get to him. It's hard to get to him. He punches you in the face like 6 feet away from him. It is what it is. He's a taller. He's longer. It's hard to get in. Now, people saying Peter Yan's going to get inside. I believe that. I actually believe Peter Yan's going to slip in there a few times. Completely. I'm not going to sit here and disrespect Peter Yan because I do agree with that. Like, he's probably the best fighter in the division. He just made a mistake and let Sterling get on his back for 10 minutes. That's about it. If he didn't do that, we'd probably be seeing another champ. But at the same time, Sugar Sean, I'm telling you, it can outstrike Peter Yan. He just can't. I completely see him outstriking Peter Yan. And now, do I think he should have got there this quick? Again, no. I think he can outstrike. Do I think he's going to knock Peter Yan out? No. 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 And it's a 3-round fight, I think, on purpose. You guys think this is a mistake? It's a 5-round fight. That they made sure right after Peter Yan lost the title fight to come down and fight Sugar Sean O'Malley. You think that was a mistake? It's not. They wanted Sugar Sean to fight him in a 3-round fight. They wanted that to happen. That's why they catapulted this so quick. And they were talking shit to each other, so it adds a little bit. But one thing I do disagree with Alec about, he is not going to get a pass off this fight. If Sugar Sean loses this fight, he will be shit on by the entire MMA community. I guarantee.
By casual.
He will be shit on. I don't give a shit who he beats after this, unless he wins. Unless he wins this fight, I'm telling you right now, people will start talking crazy shit about Sugar Sean. Crazy shit like, oh, he's not good enough. Oh, we knew he wasn't elite. We knew he could beat the best fighter. Blah, 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 blah. Now, I know it's already coming. Now, if he beats Peter Yan, he's going to launch himself into superstardom. I'm telling you right now, if he beats Peter Yan, he's going to UFC superstardom when he goes to fight Sterling. And if he beats Peter Yan, he's getting that title shot. I'm telling you right now, there is no debate. He's getting it. There is no question. There is no backdoor. There ain't shit. He's getting the title shot. Now, I think Yan has a shot in this fight. I'd be dumb to say he doesn't. Do I think Sugar Sean's going to let him? No. And Pedro Munoz, he fucking quit. I'm going to tell you all of that right now. He fucking quit. He knew Sugar Sean was about to beat his ass. I'm just going to be real. The kid was about to beat his ass. And he quit. That eye poke was not that big of an eye poke. I've seen way worse. Way worse. That he didn't even give it the full 5 minutes. He quit in like the first minute and a half. Get the fuck out of here. He absolutely quit.
Within 60 seconds, he quit, Dustin.
I was going to say
it's bullshit. He quit, and everybody knows he fucking quit. And Pedro Munoz knows he's quit. Why do you think he's not on the internet over here talking? He's not. You know why? Because he quit. He knows he fucking quit. He knew he wanted to way out of that octagon, and it's just common sense. It's common sense to see it. He wanted out. And Sugar Sean would have won that fucking fight. So either way, again, though, do I think he should go up to Yan? Probably not. But do I think he can beat? Yes. Yes. Actually, I'm predicting he wins. He'll probably be the underdog, so I can't wait to bet. So it'll be a great fight.
You hear that, Ethan? You got a good underdog to bet on for this fight, okay? So we're gonna move on to the next headline, and we're gonna move on to a headline that literally I cannot stand this headline, guys. We have Khamzat Chimaev versus Nate Diaz for Nate Diaz's last fight on the UFC contract. Now, I feel like Alec Carr is about to explode or something because he looks really mad, and I know he's really mad. Once this fight came out, he was like, no, during our chat, and so I'm gonna save his rants for last so he can breathe a little bit and get composed. But I'm gonna start with Ethan. Actually, I know I had to explain this a little bit to you, but you know who Khamzat Chimaev is. I know you know who Nate Diaz. You probably heard of him before. I'm gonna give you a backstory. Obviously, Nate Diaz has been around for quite a long time. He's not the most technical fighter, but a lot of people really do love his personality, especially in the octagon. He does have a puncher's chance, okay, but again, he's not the most technical striker. And then Khamzat Chimaev is just a beast everywhere, grappling wise, striking wise. He can do it all. So you know who I'm picking in this fight. It's Khamzat Chimaev. At the end of the day, this is a money fight. So Ethan, what do you think about this fight? Do you have any 2 cents on it?
And just from what you've told me and from what I've read up, Khamzat, like you said, is probably one of the more technical rounded fighters in the entire thing, and Diaz is getting up there. So I'd probably say Diaz would fall. I don't want to say by finish, but for sure by points would be where I'd put my money on it, at least. It'll be a good send-off fight if Diaz doesn't want to sign another contract.
Right. Okay, so Dustin, I'm going to hand it over to you next because I'm going to wait for Alec to compose himself before he talks. Okay, so Dustin, what do you think about this fight? Do you think it's stupid? I think it's stupid personally, but I get it. It's a money fight. You know, it's Nate Diaz's last fight, so I totally get it. What do you think about this fight?
Nate Diaz shouldn't have got this fight in any fucking realm or any universe that exists. Not in a parallel universe, we can go to fucking Stranger Things and say the Upside Down. You shouldn't have got that motherfucker. There's no way in hell he should have got a Khamzat fight. But I will say this about Nate Diaz, and I hate to fucking say it. This is such a dangerous fight for Khamzat to take. There's one thing I know about Nate Diaz. He wins when he's not supposed to. He don't win when he's supposed to win. He wins when he's not supposed to. I'm telling you. Like, I've watched him long enough. He will win the fucking fight when he's not supposed to win it. It is so weird. I don't know what it is, but he does it. He beat Conor McGregor, which is one of the GOATs of MMA. And he didn't just beat him. He really knocked him out. The choke was just a finish. He could have finished him with the hands if he really wanted to, but Conor shot and he choked him out. I'm telling you this because I thought that if this was a regular fighter, if this was a regular contender, I would have been like, man, Nate Diaz is going to get his ass whooped. I think because Khamzat's name is so big and he's so hyped up, and rightfully too, great fucking fighter. And Nate Diaz is another one you don't want to get in the guard. You don't. I've seen it. This dude's he's a little spider, dude. He's too long. He's weird. Another thing about Nate Diaz, I'm telling you, I'm scared for Khamzat. I'm scared because it's like, bro, if you lose this is a lose-lose. Even if you beat Nate, don't say shit. And if you lose, it's terrible for the division. Khamzat's going to get knocked down the rankings, and now we ain't going to see the fights you want to see. That's how this pans out, Nate Diaz, because he's going to leave the UFC after this. It's not like there's going to be a number 2. Nate Diaz doesn't even want to be there. I'm telling you right now, if Khamzat, I'm so scared. I'm very nervous for this fight. Because if Nate Diaz wins, it's going to be catastrophic for that division and just the way that the division works. It's going to be catastrophic. But I'm cheering for Khamzat. I hope he wins. Pray to God he wins. But we'll see. Nate Diaz is like Nate Kryptonite Diaz. I don't know. He doesn't have a nickname, but he should. And it's crazy. It's crazy. But we'll see. We'll see. Go ahead, Alec.
Yeah, Alec, this is your time to shine. What do you have to say about this fight?
First of all, Monique, can you put it up for me?
Yep, I knew this was coming, guys. So Alec has a rest of a week sometimes, so this is why we put this up there, by the way.
Okay. I really don't even know where to begin, UFC. I gave you props in the pre-show chat, and we always have before we get started, for giving these young fighters a chance. But you're still making dumbass mistakes. Fucking not forcing Colby or Usman to take this fight. That is absolutely disgusting. Khamzat Chimaev just had an absolute battle with one of the best fighters in the fucking world in Burns, and took some of the hardest shots hardest punches we'll ever see. If you go back, I'm sure you guys, I don't know if you guys have gone back and watched that fight, but I have. I have a bunch. And if you go back, I think it's in the third round, Gilbert Burns lands one of the cleanest overhand rights I have ever seen in UFC history, and Khamzat fucking walked through it like it was nothing. He actually landed a clean right hook afterwards and was applying pressure. It was, and Ethan, you don't know this, but Burns is one of the strongest power punchers in the welterweight division. The guy puts people to sleep on a regular basis. And Khamzat walked through his best punches I have ever seen. The cleanest punches I've ever seen landed. Khamzat walked through them like they were nothing and then fucking just landed. It was absolutely insane. All right, Nate Diaz, fuck off. Get out of the UFC. We don't want you here. This fight is not going to do as many PPVs as the UFC thinks. People don't care about Diaz anymore. They don't. They just don't give a shit about this guy. He is a joke. He is not as good as he used to be. At one point, we all know, Ethan, I'm telling you this because you need to know this. At one point, Nate Diaz was one of the most skilled fighters in UFC. He was. He just was. But he had a fucking attitude problem, and he kept calling out Dana White for nonsense. And if you call Dana White out for nonsense, he's not going to give you fights. He's just not. And that's his – I don't like it. I don't like that he operates that way. But he's the president of the company. He gets to do that. So, Nate Diaz, you're an absolute joke. You are so lucky you're getting this fight. Khamzat Chimaev, I can't say it enough. Khamzat Chimaev is about to be – I'm going to throw this out there, and you guys can all scream at me. Khamzat Chimaev is about to be pound for pound the best fighter in the UFC. He is. He is on his way to doing that. This guy is one of the best wrestlers in the entire UFC. His striking gets better every time he fights. I mean technician-wise, his footwork gets better, his striking gets better, he gets more pinpoint every time he fights. Oh, and by the way, he's one of the most powerful punches in the UFC too. The guy is an absolute stud, and you are trying to protect Kamaru Usman. Kamaru Usman doesn't want to fight this man. He has said multiple times, Kamaru Usman has said, oh, well, he's got to fight Colby first. He can't fight me, even though he just beat the second best fighter in the division. He can't. He has to fight Colby first. So then Chimaev says, all right, word, let's fight Colby. Let's do it. Let's make this happen, UFC. Let's fight Colby, because Khamzat Chimaev has a goal. He wants to be champion. That's his goal. So he said, all right, I'll fight Colby. Let's do it. All of a sudden, Colby calls out Dustin Poirier, who's not even in the same fucking division. Are you kidding me? And the UFC just lets this happen. They just let this happen, and they let it happen all the time to their golden fighters, the ones that are worth money. A Chimaev-Colby fight would have way more PPV buy than Nate Diaz versus Chimaev. An Usman-Chimaev fight. They're not headlining, but they will have a huge influence on the PPV buys. That's why they're making the fight, Dustin. Nate Diaz, by the way, the fight to make was Conor Nate Diaz 3. That was the fight to make. That would have done outrageous. It probably would have done close to 1 million PPV buys. We have been waiting for the third fight. I have been waiting for the third fight. I can speak for you guys. You have been waiting for the third fight, not because of the actual talent or the skill involved in it, because of the entertainment factor that goes into it. Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor are two of the best shit talkers in fighting history, not just UFC history. They are two of the largest PPV buys in UFC history. How did you miss the fucking buck on this? I don't get it. I don't get it. They missed it again, and Dustin put it perfectly. Nate Diaz is, I don't care how old he is. I don't care if he decides that he's just going to turn this into a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fight. Guess who's winning? Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz wins that fight. If this fight goes to the ground, if it goes into his guard, I am terrified for Chimaev. And Chimaev, Listen, he's a better fighter. He just is. But Nate Diaz wins when he's not supposed to, like Dustin said. He just does it. He's done it the whole time. He at one point should have been fighting for a championship fight, but his attitude got in the way. If he doesn't want to be in the UFC anymore, he shouldn't. This is the other thing, and I'll end on this because I know we got a lot to talk about. If Nate Diaz doesn't take a fight, Dana White still has to pay him. So I don't know if guys understand this. When you sign a contract with the UFC, when you sign a 3-fight contract with the UFC, if the UFC fails to make a fight for you in that year, the UFC still has to pay you. So I don't understand this. Nate Diaz doesn't want to be in the UFC anymore. He said it many, many times. He wants to go to Bellator so he can have a chance at $1 million.
I think he wants the boxing fights, dude.
Even he probably wants
like
to do
the Jake Paul and shit like that.
The Jake Paul celebrity boxing matches, but I don't want to talk about Jake Paul because fuck Jake Paul. He should have just not taken a fight. He should have just not taken a fight, claimed an injury, and taken the payday. That's what he should have done. This is fucking disgusting. This is embarrassing for the UFC. And I hope to God that there's an injury and somebody has to pull out. I never root for that. I never root for a fight to be canceled. But I hope this fight gets canceled because it's embarrassing to fight fans. And if you go look at MMA Twitter, no one wants this fight. No one. There has been no support of this fight. Zero. And that never happens. That never happens. MMA Twitter has a consensus. Which, Ethan, you don't know this yet, but you'll learn. MMA Twitter never has a consensus. Never. And they do. And it's that this fight is dumb. And because of that, the PPV buys the boost in the PPV that they expect in this fight isn't going to be there. I'm done. Fuck this fight.
All right. So Alec has done his rant of the week. Ethan, another what's called underdog. If you want to root for Nate Diaz and make a bet on him for this fight, you can do that for sure. We have one more headline to talk to before we start talking about the UFC London card, which is ESPN raising the price for its subscribers. So, Alec, you are the one that brought this up, so I'm going to turn it over to you, and you want to give a little bit of context? You want to give a little bit of our viewers just a little bit of, a story behind what this is about and, like, why we brought it up today?
Yeah, we're bringing it up today because people are stupid, essentially. There's a lot of people with blue check marks blaming, and I'm saying blue check marks in the MMA world, that blaming Dana White for this. I've seen Ariel Helwani do it. I've seen other, known MMA analysts that aren't named Daniel Cormier because he's not an analyst. Other true MMA analysts, respected guys in the field, blaming Dana White for this, which is absolutely just, I'm sorry. I like those guys a lot, and I don't mean to disrespect them, but it's just dumb. The Disney is raising the raising the price of ESPN Plus. That's what's happening here. Disney is losing and hemorrhaging money on Disney Plus and ESPN Plus because they spend so much money on making the shows, on making events. They have, and a lot of streaming platforms. This is what people don't realize. Streaming platforms aren't as profitable as people think it is. That's why, all of them are going up in price because they're putting out major productions. And we don't need to get into the business of streaming. As you all know, I'm very business oriented, but it is a very interesting business in that their margins are very slim. And Disney Plus and ESPN Plus started at a very, very low level. I mean, we're talking ESPN Plus when it started was $3.99. $3.99. It's like they were losing money, and they're still losing money. So Disney is raising the price. Disney is is trying to make their investment worth their time in ESPN Plus, and it will be, and they know that. That's why they're doing this. And the number that people are throwing out, the 43% increase. Yeah, it went from $6.99 to $9.99. Stop using the 43% increase. It's you're using it for impact. Stop it. It's bullshit. It went up $3. It went up $3. Everyone needs to calm down. Dana White didn't call Disney and say, "Hey, can you raise your price?" No, that's not how it happens. Disney pays Dana White. They paid him $1.3 billion for the contract up front. They don't give him a portion of the ESPN Plus premiums, the monthly premiums. That's not how it works. It's not that they didn't buy an insurance policy. Like that, it's not a monthly premium. It's not a split that way. So that it's idiotic. It doesn't make any sense. Dana White didn't do anything here. I doubt the Disney even called him to let him know.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we're gonna move on to Ethan. I know you know just a little bit about this from what Alec has said, but do you have any thoughts on ESPN Plus raising their price? Do you think it's Disney's fault? Do you think it's Dana White's fault? What do you think?
I think the blame would probably have to fall on Disney just because they weren't upfront with knowing with their research how much money they were going to gain or lose. They assumed that enough people would buy the subscriptions, but they didn't. And now they have to raise the price, which is making the people that already bought their subscription upset. Although it'll just cost them $36 more a year.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like at a certain point, like that 43%, if it doubles again by, say, 2 years from now from what it just was, then I could see people getting more upset. But it's just going to depend on how the world is and if ESPN Plus actually ends up being profitable for Disney or if they want to cut it loose.
Okay, and Dustin, what do you think about ESPN Plus raising their price?
My bad. I didn't know I was muted. I didn't know.
That's okay. No worries.
First thing is, I agree with Alec to an extent with this. People need to stop blaming Dana for big business shit. You need to realize that Dana is basically practically, now, I don't know if anybody's ever been in the restaurant business. So there's an owner of the restaurant, right? And there's a GM of the restaurant that runs daily operations. Dana White is the GM. I know he has a big name. I know he's a rich guy. But he is the GM, basically, of the UFC. He is not the owner. He is not the big money guy. Actually, compared to the guys who own the UFC, he is a little fish. He's a little fish. We're talking guys who fly fucking private probably to a state that's 2 hours away. Like, well, we're talking about guys that are big money. I don't think people understand how rich the guys who own the UFC are. And they're not even as rich as Disney. So we're going to stop this whole talk that Dana White has some responsibility of raising prices for Disney. Disney. We're talking about a company that owns major news networks. Literally. Major news networks. Dana White is a little fish in a big-ass pond when it comes to Disney. They don't give a shit what Dana White thinks about their business plan. I'm sorry. They just don't. They pay him. It's not the other way around. They bought the UFC's rights. It's not the other way around. Now, the only thing I don't like, ESPN monthly price, I don't give a shit about. Whatever, man. You're going to pay it. I own it. I own one of those subscriptions. I'm going to pay it. Because I actually like the content. I fuck with it. I like the content on there, and I enjoy that I get to go back and watch fights on Sundays or Tuesday when I'm not busy. The only thing I don't like is the pay-per-view price. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't think it's even close to the realm of being affordable. I think it's quite ridiculous. I don't know the language of the contract of what cut Disney gets from said PPVs. Maybe that's why it's raising so much, but it's seeming to skyrocket. And I'm telling you right now that the average American does not want to pay $75 to $80 to see a fight, especially when you come out the pay-per-view every month. I'm just going to be real. They're going to go to legal to streaming. They're going to all pitch in at their buddy's house. And I think ultimately it will drive the PPV numbers down. Now, like Alex said in the beginning, I think in the chats, he was like, well, it doesn't matter because UFC is getting a bulk of money from ESPN, which, I mean, I'm not here to refute. But what I am here to refute is I think the pay-per-view prices are ridiculous, and they're charging $75 for fights some people don't even want to see. Don't even want to see. And you're trying to charge Mayweather charged like $100 for the McGregor fight. That's like one of the biggest fights in sports history to date when it comes to pay-per-views, instead of Pacquiao. And you're going to tell me that you can charge 15 less than Mayweather and that type of PPV draw for a boring ass main event that you know is going to be fucking boring? Like, let's really be real. They're going to charge $75 to make me watch Amanda Nunes versus Juliana Pena. Fuck you. Fuck you. I'm gonna go illegally watch that shit on TikTok. That's exactly what the fuck I'm gonna do. I'm not paying $75 for that bullshit. It is what it is. I think Disney and UFC need to sit the fuck down and realize the PPV price is fucking ridiculous, and they also need to bring it up and down. So if you want to see the top-notch fighters fight, then fine, pay $75. But I'm sorry, Teixeira versus Jiri should not be $75 fucking dollars. I'm just gonna be real and authentic. It's not. So that's just my opinion. That's where I go.
So, real quick, I know we got to get to the card, but real quick, I agree with you. The PPV price is too high. It is. It's just too high. But there's a business plan in place that Disney has put out low key. It's not making headlines because MMA fans hate giving credit to the UFC and Disney for doing the right thing. It's just a fact. They do. They love hating on Dana, and they make me defend a man I hate all the time. Yeah. But the business plan that they need, what they're doing is seeing the market viability in, and now you're gonna bring out my business brain. They're trying to see what the market viability is to put it on a major network. So there's going to be, I think, 1 or 2 more fights on ABC this year. I forget what the original contract says, but there's supposed to be 5 or 6 on ABC next year. So the idea is to they're raising the PPV price now because in the next 3 years, it should steady out to a plateau and not be raised because only the best fights will be.
Okay, Alec. So I understand your point. So let's go over that business sense. I agree with that. I understand capitalism. I get it. My thing is, okay, so what's the problem? So even before it's ABC, UFC is big enough. If they didn't have Disney, they could still sell pay-per-views at $50. Guarantee most people would buy it. Here's my thing. The prices, again, I agree, need to fluctuate. So wait.
No, I agree with you. And we can't get on this topic for too long because we do have a great card to talk about. But I agree with you to an extent that if there's more fights being put on ESPN and ABC, then the $75 price point is not as outrageous because you're only talking about headliners, like top of the top of the world. And it's different than so it's not like the NFL in the Super Bowl charging. I mean, the NFL in the Super Bowl shouldn't charge $2 million for an ad buy, but they do.
For real.
They do, and that can make and break a company is taking that ad buy. It can be horrible for the company, or it could be great, and that's what the UFC is hedging their bets on with Disney. That's why they want Disney, because they own ABC, they own these major networks, and they want to become mainstream. It's going to be a very I'm going to say up mountain battle for them. But they're making MMA fans need to be patient because this isn't going to happen overnight. This is something that needs to be tested and tested and tested. And they tested it out about 5 years ago. Remember Fox fights? Remember Fox UFC fights?
Absolutely.
It was a fucking failure because they started doing a lot of them and they lost a shit ton of money. So they're being smart about it, and I know it pisses a lot of people off. It pisses me off. I don't want to pay fucking $75 for a fight. It does piss me off. But I get it. It's they have to test this out to make sure it works and not make the same mistake they made with Fox.
Alex, one more point so we end this subject. I'm going to tell you right now, ESPN did a worse job. I didn't think it was possible. ESPN did a worse job on The Ultimate Fighter than Fox did. And I thought it was impossible. I thought it was impossible.
That's a totally different topic. It's a totally different topic. We can talk about that after Ultimate Fighter's done.
All right, guys. That was a good topic, obviously, to talk about. We have to move on to UFC London, the main card. Okay, so I know, Ethan, you're pretty new, so if you don't know many of these fighters, you can just say pass or, just agree with one of our picks, okay? So we're going to move on to the first fight, which is a light heavyweight fight between Paul Craig and Volkan Ozdemir. All right, I'm going to start off and say Paul Craig has been on a roll lately, and I think he's going to win. That's all I have to say about that. Alec, what do you have to say about this fight?
I think Paul Craig is definitely going to win. I mean, he is on a roll right now. Volkan Ozdemir is old. He's a power. I mean, he could knock out Paul Craig, sure, but that's his only hope. To do my quick shout-outs for the undercards, guys, Muhammad Mokaev is on the undercards. 21-year-old prodigy. Watch that fucking fight. If you miss that fight, you might as well not watch the card. Anyway, that's it.
All right, Dustin, do you have any thoughts about this fight?
This is Dustin's rant of the week. This is Dustin's rant of the week. Why the fuck is Paul Craig on the bottom of a fight night when the guy he knocked the fuck out is headlining another fucking card?
I know.
Why? Why? Someone better explain this shit to me and fast. Now, I know the simple answer. It's because people think Jamal is more popular, which I get it. No, hell no. Jamal got knocked the fuck out. And you are going to tell me that you're putting the fighter that beat him, that's on a fight win streak, against a fighter who's coming off a loss, when you're putting Jamal Hill against somebody who just came off a title fight, for God fucking sake. How does that work? How does that work? How is he fighting at the bottom of a card when he just smashed a dude that you're literally putting on a fucking headline against someone who just came off of fighting the champ? Doesn't make any sense. Does not make any fucking sense. I don't get why he's here, and he's going to win this fight. I guarantee it. I guarantee he's going to win this fight. Why he's at the bottom of his card, why Hill is fucking headlining a card when he just got knocked out, does not make any sense. Does not make any fucking sense. This is another thing that Dana does that I want to throw I want to throw a book at him. This is the dumbest shit I've ever seen. He beat the shit out of that dude you're over here talking about on the main event with a title challenger, one of the top guys in the division. But the guy who whooped his ass is over here on the bottom of fucking fight night. That makes complete sense, Dana. No, it doesn't actually. That's highly sarcastic. No, Paul Craig's going to win this fucking fight. He deserves better. He deserves better. He should be in fucking Hill's spot, to be real about it.
No, for sure. I agree with Dustin. So, Ethan, if you want to put down Paul Craig's name in your betting list.
I just did.
There you go.
Notebook.
Good boy. Attaboy. All right. So, we are going to move on to another fight. We are going to move on to the women's flyweight belt between Molly McCann versus Hannah Goldie. Now, if anyone does not know, Hannah Goldie is on she is 6-2 right now, her record. Molly McCann is 12-4. Molly McCann just had an amazing knockout in her last fight, so she is definitely on the UFC's radar right now, making her comeback. I don't know who's going to win, really, this fight. I want to say McCann. I'm a huge fan of McCann. I've always supported her since the beginning. But I'm going to move on to Alec. What do you think about this fight? Who do you think is going to win?
Molly McCann's going to win this fight. I just, I'm not – it's not to discredit Hannah Goldie. She's a good fighter. But, I mean – since winning the Contender Series, she lost to Miranda Granger and Diana Belbita.
Yeah,
that tells me. I know she just won her last fight, but I don't even know who Emily Whitmire is. So I've never heard of her before. I don't remember that fight. So Molly McCann is. I mean, this is one of those fights that we talk about that Dana books that it's like, all right, Molly, we need to get your name back up there because you lost 2 fights you weren't supposed to. And she did. She was supposed to beat Talia Santos, but little did we know that Talia is an absolute fucking monster. But she was supposed to win both of those fights, and she lost. She lost both of them. So, and this is the UFC saying, "You're one of our stars. We believe in you, but win this fucking fight so that we can keep pushing you forward."
I agree. All right, Dustin, do you have any thoughts on McCain versus Goldie?
Molly, of course. Hey, dude, I'm on the fan train. I love it. I probably like her more than Patty. Fucked up.
Yeah,
I like her more than Patty. Bro, she's fun. I like seeing her fight. That spinning elbow, that shit was crazy. That was I don't know. Tony Ferguson might have topped it with getting folded up, but I don't know if I've seen someone get folded up like that bad in a while. Except Tony Ferguson, which was pretty satisfying. But I'll tell you right now, that spinning elbow was fucking dope. I really hope she keeps winning because she is entertaining. She is awesome. I really hope she wins, especially in the O2. So I'm going for Molly McCann.
All right, Ethan, so your homework besides putting Molly McCain's name down is to Google the fight between Molly McCain and her last fight. Just Google spinning elbow KO and you'll see what we're talking about because that was incredible. All right, so
for you guys. So Molly McCain being the heavy favorite she is, obviously this is not a pay-per-view, but it's still the main card of a fight night. Goldie is just going up against McCain just to boost McCain's confidence and boost her back up the card in fans' eyes. But aside from that, what's the point of giving her someone that she should be able to wipe within a couple rounds?
So Dana White, we don't have time for me to break this down all the way, but essentially Dana White operates the UFC different than every other promotion. Promotion companies do some marketing, but they promote the fights. That's what they do. Marketing companies would promote the fighters, market the fighters. Dana White has mastered marketing fighters. That's what he's good at. So that's what this is. It's showing the difference between a promotion and marketing. They're very marketing heavy. So they're marketing Molly McCain. They invested a shit ton of money in her, and for her to lose those 2 fights was devastating to their investment. So they need to get it back. And Molly McCain shouldn't have lost those fights. She's a very, very good fighter. So they're trusting that she's going to win this fight and go back to what she's supposed to be and win a bunch of fights in a row.
There you go. That's your answer, Ethan. So we're going to move on to our next fight, which is another light heavyweight fight. We got Nikita Krylov versus Alexander Gustafsson. All I gotta say is that I am off the Gustafsson train, okay? I know a lot of people love Alexander Gustafsson, and I know why, especially during the John Jones era. That was amazing. And John Jones is coming back. Don't forget that, okay? He's going to come back hopefully this year, and we're excited about that. But right now, we're going to talk about the light heavyweight. So I think Krylov is probably going to win it. I don't know how he's going to win, but I believe he's probably going to win this fight. I just don't believe in Gustafsson anymore as I used to. What do you think, Alec, since Dustin is temporarily gone for now? I'll start with you first.
Monique, you know how I feel about Gus. I think he's one of those. The John Jones fight boosted his marketability. It was a close fight, but we all know why now. John Jones was coked out of his mind powerlifting. He wasn't training for a fight. So when he got in there, he was gassed out early. He wasn't the same John Jones. Gus is not. He's nothing special. He's got good hands. That's about it. Nikita Krylov is probably going to win this fight. Krylov is coming off of 2 losses. I understand that, but one's against Magomed and the other one's against Paul Craig. So 2 losses, but the opponents matter, right? So I think Nikita Krylov is the better fighter. I think Gus also kind of hinted, if I remember correctly, at this being his last fight. So hopefully it is. He tried to go up to heavyweight. It didn't work. I do kind of hope he retires just because if he doesn't, because he's always said yes to fights, Dana's just going to keep throwing him in there. And he doesn't belong really anymore in this promotion.
Okay, Dustin, I have a question for you. Who do you think is going to win this fight? Is it Krylov or is it Gustafsson?
First of all, we're gonna continue on this bullshit about Paul Craig. We're gonna keep going because he beat Krylov, and somehow Krylov is up in the card. Somehow, I don't know, dude. You just got. I don't. It's baffling. Why would you not put Paul Craig against Gustafsson? Why would you not do that?
No one likes Paul Craig. That's why.
That sucks, man.
He's beating them the fuck up. I don't care if you like him or not. I don't necessarily like Usman, but he's beating people up. Like, it is what it is. But it's the same thing. I think Gustafsson's gonna win this fight. It is what I think he's good enough to beat Krylov. I'm gonna just put it out there. It's sad about Alex Gustafsson. I think that he's in the Hall of Fame with the fight with John Jones, all that shit. He should have beat DC, and it's honestly his fault that I got to sit here and listen how DC is one of the greatest UFC champions, and he's on the commentary table. If Gustafsson would have did the job, I wouldn't have to hear about this shit, and it's his fault, so I have a grudge. But Gustafsson could whoop his ass, and Krylov shouldn't even be in that fight. He just shouldn't. I don't even know why he's there, but it is what it is. UFC.
All right, so Ethan, we are obviously split in this decision. We have 2 against 1. Dustin thinks that Gustafsson's going to win. We think that Krylov's going to win. You got to look at the odds and make a decision. Maybe give us a second or two to get our thoughts together when it comes to that. Do you have any questions, comments when it comes to this fight?
I'm just from looking into it a little bit while you guys all were talking. Dustin, I'm sorry, but it's going to be a 3-1 majority against you. I just think although Krylov,
I'm used to it, dog. Don't worry about it.
handed to him by Craig, I just don't think Gustafsson has it in him to win this. I think Krylov needs to bounce back after his little losing area these past couple times.
Wrong person to bounce back on. Wrong person. So they should have gave him the Paul Craig is fighting. They should have gave him the guy Paul Craig was fighting. Maybe we wouldn't have this fucking problem. I'm just say that.
No. Dustin has a good point, but we definitely got to move on. This is the fight that I'm looking forward to the most, and I know Alec is looking forward to because he's doing those boxer hands as well. So we have the lightweight fight between Paddy Pimblett versus Jordan Leavitt. Okay, so I know, Ethan, you probably heard of the name Paddy Pimblett before. I know you have for sure. You probably looked into him a little bit. He's like the new kind of Conor McGregor-esque person, same as Ian Gary, if you want to look him up as well. He's very famous. He was famous, I believe, in another promotion before he came to the UFC, and now he's having his pretty much the hardest match of his life against Jordan Leavitt, who is only 1 loss away, but he is amazing fighter. If you see him on the ground, he pretty much knocks people out. And so that's why I personally think that Paddy is good, but I'm a huge Jordan Leavitt fan, so I'm going to bet against Paddy in this one, which maybe if you want to write this down, because, he might be an underdog in this just because Paddy is always the favorite in most fights. If he's not, I'll be very surprised, but I think that Jordan Leavitt's going to give him a lot of problems. I think he's technical. I think that Paddy Pimblett is definitely going to have a struggle with him, and I think he's probably going to get a loss. So that's just me, and I might be just on everybody's bad side right now, but that's what I think. Alec Carr, who do you think is going to win this fight? And I think we've asked this before, but I'm going to ask you again, who do you think is going to win? Is it Paddy or is it going to be Jordan?
Paddy's winning this fight. He's winning it. I got news for you. He's winning it quick. Yeah, and when he wins this fight, he will have the crown as the next Conor McGregor as far as marketing-wise goes. After he wins this fight, the UFC is going to catapult him into – he will be the face. When UFC 5s come out, don't be shocked if Paddy Pimblett's not on the front of it. People discredit his ground game. He can wrestle. He has Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu background. He has – his gym is full of former Division I champions. The guy absolutely has a ground game. Paddy Pimblett is Jordan Leavitt should have just kept being the weird, quiet guy. He awoke a beast in Paddy Pimblett. He's going to go out there and put a show on. People discount Paddy's also his extreme arm length for his size. He's got an outrageous reach. He's got a chin on him. He's an absolute stud. the division needs to watch out because he's coming and he's coming quick. And he said it perfectly. You're not going to see him on fight nights after this one. If when he wins this fight, he's going to be only on PPVs and he's going to be near the top of the card. And after he beats Jordan Levitt, look for him to fight somebody within the top 10, and then somebody within the top 5, because that is happening. They will fast track this kid, and he deserves it. He's an absolute stud. And I'll just say this about Jordan Levitt. He has impressed me lately, but I will say his best victory is not even in the UFC. It's against Johnny Walker and Get Gladiator Challenge. He's fought nobody. He's impressed me. He's way better than I thought he was, but he hasn't fought. I don't want to hear him talk about Matt Wyman anymore. He's been talking about it all fucking week. Matt Wyman blows. He's not a good fighter. Just because people know his name because he's been around for forever, he is in the UFC to lose because he doesn't say no. So stop bringing up Matt Wyman. Stop bringing him up, Jordan Levitt, and go out there and try to beat Paddy Pimblett, who is on his way to being a contender. I'm so excited for this fight. He made me a bigger fan this week. He's been the front, even though he's not the main event. The media has been treating him like the main event because he's that marketable, and he's the next face of the UFC. I'm calling it right now.
All right, Dustin, who do you think is gonna win? Is it gonna be Paddy or is it gonna be Jordan Levitt?
This stupid ass mic mute. I need to stop doing that. Sorry for the visual, by the way. It's just I had to switch settings when I didn't plan to. Unfortunately. I love the Paddy the Baddy little thing that's going on here with the shit talking.
Oh, I think he froze.
Oh, I think he froze too. Oh
Yeah.
no. All right, we'll circle back to Dustin, but it's split between me and Alec right now when it comes to Paddy Pimblett and Jordan Levitt. I love Jordan Levitt. I think he is really good, but Paddy Pimblett is also very good, and he's as I told you, Ethan, you probably heard of him before. He's probably the next face of the UFC, the next Conor McGregor. But I don't know. I don't know how good he is really, and I think that this is going to be an ultimate test for him. So that's why I'm picking Jordan Levitt, and that's why I know Alec Carr is picking Paddy Pimblett, and I'm pretty sure Dustin. I don't know who he's gonna pick because he looked like he was leaning towards Jordan, but then I wasn't sure because he froze. So basically, you can make your own decision there. Hopefully, Dustin joins us a little bit because I do want to get his take on this because this is pretty much like this is the fight on the card to like pretty much watch out for because it's gonna be a highlight reel for sure, especially with Paddy on it. So do you have any thoughts on that?
I was going to say, I'm not sure what you describe a highlight reel as, but something that ends within the first 2-3 minutes, I wouldn't call a highlight reel. I think Paddy gets it done real fast and real early.
No, I can see that too. I can see Jordan Levitt also being a really good technical fighter, so that's why we'll see what happens. If Paddy impresses me, he impresses me. So we're gonna move on just because we are running out of time. It's over an hour so far our show, but we had a lot of headlines. So we're gonna move on to our co-main event. We got Jack Hermansson coming back versus Chris Curtis. Now I don't know about you, Alec Carr, but I don't give a shit about this fight. Like, I literally don't give a shit about this fight. It is, like, making me yawn when I think about this fight. Jack Hermansson, I don't care about you. Chris Curtis, I really don't care about you. I think they should have switched it. I think they definitely... I don't. I really don't, okay? Just because I like Jack Hermansson is fine, but then Chris Curtis is, I don't know. It's just, this is what I think about the fight. Oh, Dustin's back. That's great. Before we move on to the next fight, Dustin, did you have your thoughts on Paddy versus Jordan before we move on to the next fight?
Yeah, sorry about my stupid phone. It's retarded. Anyway, I actually like the slander that's going on about Paddy with this fight because people are actually talking about someone challenging him, which I think is absolutely hilarious. It's the funniest shit. Like, I love it because he needs it. Paddy the Baddy needs it. He needs haters.
This is exactly what happened to Conor, by the way.
You need haters. You need them. Just like Sugar Sean needs them, just like Conor needed them, just like every other fighter that was really big in marketing needed them. Now, saying that I am like thinking I think he's gonna win the fight. That's just me. Paddy the Baddy, I think he's a really talented fighter. Now, when we start talking about him fighting top 10 guys and top 5 guys, yeah, we'll see. Because I think guys have a really good skill set at that division. it's gonna be a tough go. But with this fight, actually, Jordan did something that no one else I see in the last future actually do, and it's piss Paddy off. Pissed him off. And that might be a good thing. That's what people don't realize. It might be a good thing that he pissed him off. It might be a good thing that he made him emotional. Might be a good thing, because he really got under his skin. Like, he actually pissed him off. And Paddy started, like, fucking sitting over here talking about he can't throw a punch, all this shit. So I'm telling you, dude, it got dirty. Like, he actually pissed him off. And it might be beneficial to him. You never know. You never know. So we'll see. But I think Paddy is going to win the fight. But I really love, and talking about him being Conor McGregor, right now he is the Walmart Conor McGregor. He ain't Conor McGregor yet, man. Like, I'm sorry to get to her, Conor. Dude, that's just the top echelon of sport. I wish they'd almost stop using this example, because it's almost like
that press conference was very Conor-esque.
I'm just saying, it's like Conor is mostly the exception to the rule. To see a fighter big like that in MMA again, we'll see. But Paddy the Baddy definitely has potential, like Sugar Sean does. We'll see. But right now, it's definitely not there, in my opinion. Just seeing, I don't see it. He isn't knocking. He isn't sparking guys. He didn't spark his last opponent, really. And to be real, he's got to start being entertaining. He's got to start getting those finishes. He's got to start knocking guys out. He's got to start being a little bit more entertaining, in my opinion. He's got to get more finishes. Conor got big again by knocking motherfuckers out. He knocked motherfuckers out early. Now, when he took a step in competition, it got a little bit harder to knock guys out. But in all reality, I think Paddy needs to be a little bit more entertaining inside that ring, dude. You better start with all the shit talking. You better start sparking.
He literally has a knockout and a TKO and a rear naked chokehold. Those are his victories. The two finishes.
Rear naked. I'm not that, like, it's not that. I see it all the time. I see it all the time.
Come on, Alec. You know, to impress Dustin, you gotta do something never seen before.
Pretty much. All right. So we're gonna move on.
Spark a motherfucker. I mean, knock his ass out. You're talking all this shit. You better knock Jordan the fuck out. That's all I want to see. Knock his ass out.
All right, we gotta move on. We're going on an hour and a half.
we are going an hour and a half. We're gonna move on to the co-main. Like I said, I don't really care too much about this fight, so I'm gonna move it on to Alec Carr. This is a middleweight fight, Ethan, between Jack Hermansson versus Chris Curtis. I don't care too much about these fighters.
I can't believe, Monique. I've never been this disappointed in you. We've been doing this show for a long time before, for a long time, almost 2 years now, I think, which is crazy. And you're not behind the Chris Curtis story being passed up by the UFC year after year after year. Then he comes in and he's supposed to be a walkover for Phil Hawes and he fucking smokes him. And then he's supposed to be a walkover for Brandon Allen and he fucking smokes him. And then the same thing with Rodolfo Vieira. And he absolutely, I know it was a decision, but he won that pretty handedly too. I am on the Chris Curtis train. I am picking with my heart. I think he's going to smoke overrated Jack Hermansson. I think Jack Hermansson's going to try to shoot like he always does. He's not going to be able to because Chris Curtis is a big fuck at that division, and I think this is a long, ugly night for Jack Hermansson. I love Chris Curtis. I hope he keeps winning. I hope he gets the fucking belt just to say, how dare you pass on me 4 times.
No, here's the thing. I like the story. It's just that I think it should be switched. I think Paddy versus Jordan should have been the co-main event, in my opinion. That's why, like I said, I don't really care too much about this fight, but I do like Chris Curtis. What's called? Dustin, I'm going to move it on to you. Who do you think's going to win this fight?
Oh, bro, me and Alec are on the same train. Chris Curtis is fucking awesome. I don't give a shit anybody says that. When he knocked out Phil Hawes, I was dying laughing. I was like, no. That was like watching Buster Douglas, Buster knock out Mike Tyson. It was almost the same type shit. Like, he was supposed to get beat up, and then he beat the shit out of Phil Halls. I did not expect that. And then he just keeps winning. He's a fucking monster. I love seeing him on the co-main event. Get the attention you deserved 5 years ago, because you should have been in the UFC a long fucking time ago. We'll see. I mean, I don't like Jack Hermanson either. I'm on the Alex train here too. I don't think Jack Hermanson's that good. He's a wrestler. I don't think he's that good on the feet. I think Chris Curtis is gonna starch this dude. I think he's gonna do the same thing. So we'll see, and I can't wait to see his climb in the division. It's gonna be epic. I can't wait to see him continue and keep putting on a show.
All right, Ethan. So put that name down, Chris Curtis. He's one to watch. And do you have any thoughts on this fight moving forward to the main event?
I mean, from what I was reading, Curtis seemed like a better pick, but everywhere has it as a 50-50 fight.
No, I can see that. I can see that. All right, we're gonna move on to our main event, which is a heavyweight fight. No question about it. Curtis Blades versus Tom Aspinall. Now, this one is a little bit tricky for me. I had to really think hard about who I think is gonna win this fight, because Curtis Blades is really good in terms of wrestling, but Tom Aspinall has been on a roll lately, and he is certainly so. Like, he's been on a roll recently, winning against his former opponents, and I think that's why he's obviously headlining a fight night in London, in his home crowd, which is obviously going to give him an advantage. But I think, I don't know why I'm just going to say this, but I feel like Tom Aspinall probably has the edge right now. Maybe because he's on a roll right now. Maybe that's why I'm on the Tom Aspinall train. But I think he might have a chance against Curtis Blades. So I'm going to pick him against Curtis Blades. What do you think, Alec? Who do you think is going to win?
I'm still angry at Alexander Volkov for fucking fighting like a moron in that fight.
I know, right?
But I got to give credit to Tom Aspinall. He jumped on Volkov's mistakes, and that's the sign of being a good fighter. Even though I'm not a big Aspinall fan, which is weird. I usually love the British fighters, but I like. That being said, Curtis Blades is the best wrestler in the heavyweight division. He just is, until John Jones comes in. But he just is the best wrestler in the heavyweight division. He's boring because he's a heavyweight wrestler, which is not something you hear that often. And he's got cardio for days. This is a really tough fight to pick. I don't know if I'm picking with my heart just because I'm not an Aspinall fan. I don't know why I'm not. I'm sorry, Tom. I'm sorry, Tom Aspinall. I don't know why I'm not a fan of you. And maybe it's because Ethan and I were talking about before you guys came on that there's such a big drop-off after Ciryl Gane in this heavyweight division. Like, Tom Aspinall is not on that same athletic level as Gane and Ngannou, John Jones, right? Like, he's just not. And I feel like if he goes – it's good to have new blood in the heavyweight division because he is. But if he goes up against any of the three of those guys – and throw Stipe in there too. I'm sorry, throw Stipe in there. If he goes up against any of those guys, I think he gets his ass whooped. Same with Curtis Blades for that matter. I don't think they really stand a chance against those four guys. I'm going to go with Aspinall because he showed he does have some ground game. He showed that he can, even though he doesn't look like he's in shape, he can go long in fights. It'll be interesting to see because Curtis Blades' goal is to take this to all 5 rounds. So I think Aspinall wins if it finishes early. If it goes the distance, I think Curtis Blades is going to take 3, 4, and 5. Because he has that high level of cardio in the heavyweight division, and I just don't think Aspinall does. So that was my big non-answer for you guys. That I have no idea who's going to win this fight.
All right, Dustin, who do you think is going to win this main event?
I'm picking Aspinall. I don't like Curtis Blades.
Me neither.
Neither do I. I don't like him. Like, he's one of those guys who's going to float around the heavyweight division. Beat decent guys, but he's never gonna reach the pinnacle. Like, he's never gonna get up there. And I hope a guy like Aspinall that's coming up, that's on a roll, straight starches this dude because I believe that Derek Lewis gave him the uppercut from Hades, by the way, and that was awesome. That shit was hilarious, by the way. I've never laughed. I don't think I've ever laughed at a knockout until I watched that one. Because that shit was funny. Just the way it happened, I was like, Derek Lewis uppercutted, though. Fuck, God. That shit was bad. I'm picking Aspinall. I think Aspinall's a complete beast. I think that dude's a fucking monster. I think he's aggressive. I think he's like really well-rounded mixed martial artist. I think I don't think he's going to compete with the top 3 or whatever, but Aspinall is definitely a player, and I'll tell you guys right now, the heavyweight division is more talented than I've seen it in years.
Ever.
Years. It's stacked. Complete stacked. It's crazy how talented it is right now. They're making guys like Volkov look like an average guy. Literally. Like, they're destroying guys like Volkov. So, I mean, we'll see. I think Aspinall is going to rise up a little bit. I think he'll get a shot. And I'm picking him for this fight.
All right, so that is going to be it for this week's of Fights Unwrapped. But we are going to be talking about a pay-per-view next week, which is obviously we have Amanda Nunes versus Juliana Pena for the women's bantamweight title. We have also Brandon Moreno versus Kai Kara France for the co-main for the flyweight interim title. We have people like Derek Lewis, was Alexander Pantoja, Magomed Ankalaev, Anthony Smith, and unfortunately, and not unfortunately, Paulo Costa and Luke Rockhold's fight is canceled.
I called it.
It got rescheduled. I believe it's on UFC 280 actually.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. All right, so we are going to stop it right there. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Ethan, Dustin, and Alec for being my co-hosts, and we will see you guys next week. Bye, guys. Have a good